Lucille made a reflection of his battle against the boss on the 10th floor. He realized that he had made too much mistakes, so he immediately thought that Broad and Gulgar would have punished him if they knew about it. Because of this, he wanted to join the Paladin or Templar training to prepare himself better, but he decided to worry about it after breakfast. Lucille met Lumina, who was accompanied by her regiment members, on the way to the cafeteria. Lumina had heard how Lucille had already cleared the 10th floor of the labyrinth, but he actually looked troubled when she mentioned it, so she invited him to join them for breakfast as she also wanted to hear more about it. Lucille happily agreed, and he thought his monster luck was doing great work again. Lumina was shocked when she heard that Lucille had fought a white, and even her subordinates thought that he had a death wish, was foolish, and was lucky to survive. And Lumina was upset that he was taking blind risks, and she added that she can't stand those who don't value their own lives. Lucille couldn't refute their words. All he could do was ask for mercy and tell them that he had already reflected on his mistakes. Afterwards, he told them that he wanted to return to Meritoni to continue his training. However, it was not possible unless he received an official appointment, so Lumina decided to let him train with the regiment under her. Although she warned him that it would be tough for a healer, Lucille was still eager to try, and he thanked his monster luck for this. After his meal, Lucille continued exploring the labyrinth, now on the 11th floor. Nothing unusual happened this time, so he easily reached the 12th floor. However, he was more cautious this time, so he stopped his exploration at the 12th floor and decided to go to Catlaya to exchange his points. She noticed that he was now anxious around her, so he explained that she left quite an impression on him, and he even asked if she was a former paladin or retainer of the Pope. Catlaya didn't answer his questions, and she warned him about prying too much. Lucille panicked after hearing her warning, and he agreed to stop being nosy. Afterwards, she gave him his magic sack and instructed him how to use it. She explained that it could store anything inside that was within his reach, while to pull out an item, he needed to imagine the item and recite retrieve. While checking the sack, he noticed that there were some books inside, so Catlaya explained that the Pope had asked her to give him all kinds of tomes they had. Lucille was really thankful for it, and he realized that his monster luck was working like crazy. After safely exploring until the 15th floor the next day, Lucille joined the Valkyrie Paladin Regiment for training. After a short introduction, Lumina immediately ordered everyone to start warming up before their combat training. Lucille told Lumina that he was worried that he couldn't attack a woman, even if it was just a part of training. However, she just called him dull, so he thought that the group was really tough. Afterwards, Lumina had started running, and she ordered everyone to follow behind her. The other girls urged Lucille to start running and keep up with them. Lucille thought that it would be easy since he had been running a lot in his training under Broad. However, he couldn't keep up at all, and they even started lapping him. Lucille tried running harder, not willing to accept that his previous training was all for nothing, and he also thought that he wouldn't let his class and level be an excuse for not keeping up. But by the time they finished running, he was still 8 laps behind. After breaking into groups for combat training, Lucille's partner was Lumina. She looked worried when she saw Lucille holding a sword and a spear, and she asked when he started using this fighting style. Lucille told her that he had started using it since he started exploring the labyrinth, so Lumina explained that it was reckless to do it without a dual-wielding skill, and she asked him to use what he had learned from the Adventurers Guild, so he exchanged his spear for a shield. Afterwards, Lucille charged at Lumina, but none of his attacks landed, and he even received a punch to the stomach instead. Lucille remembered Broad's words on how he should lay a trap using his strength, unknown to his opponents. Lucille used the light from his high heel to hinder Lumina's vision before launching an attack. Lumina was impressed, but she still managed to dodge and render Lucille unconscious with a strike behind his neck. Lucille only woke up after receiving some slaps. They were surprised that Lumina actually knocked him out, as she usually doesn't go hard against them. They didn't expect her to show a healer so much respect, but Lucille couldn't really understand what they meant. Lucille joined the bodyguard training next, and they are the winning side due to his ability to support his team. However, Lumina started calling him an oddball because he is already a level 5 healer with a holy magic affinity of 7. Elizabeth couldn't believe what she heard, while Lucille complained about being called an oddball. But she knew everything he did at the Adventurers Guild, from staying at the Adventurers Guild to treating people for free in exchange for combat training and gaining his nickname as the masochist zombie healer. Everything he did was odd, so he could only apologize for trying to deny it. Even after all his training, his skills still haven't increased. But to avoid getting discouraged, he reminded himself not to get distracted by numbers like Broad had taught him, and instead he decided to put in even more effort. He is now on the 16th floor, and he decided to train it using a sword and shield because of Lumina's advice. While collecting the magic stones, Lucille noticed a trap on the floor, and since he thought that his aura coat and barrier were unbeatable, he decided to activate it, curious what the trap would be. The trap spawned numerous zombies around him. Lucille was surprised, but he didn't have a problem dealing with the zombies. However, no matter how many zombies he killed, his level was stuck at 1, so he continued thinking that the zombies were just illusions that didn't give any experience points. But he just thought of treating his fight against the zombies as a part of his training. And he continued exploring the labyrinth for the next couple of days until he reached the 20th floor. But he had a bad feeling after seeing the entrance to the 20th floor. He thought it would be another boss room, so he decided to go back first. Lucille asked Katlia about the main chamber, and she looked sad while saying that another guild member who had lost his life must be inside it again. However, Lucille noticed her expression, but he thought that it was just an act, as he still believes that the undead are just illusions. For 2 days, Lucille trained himself in the boss room on the 10th floor to prepare himself for the 20th floor. But Elizabeth suddenly showed up in front of his room, and she explained that they would be thoroughly schooling him in dual-wielding techniques. After watching the Valkyries use the dual-wielding technique, Lumina asked him what he thought about it. So Lucille explained that it leaves the person more vulnerable as the continuous attacks limit the person's movement. Because of this, Lucille thought that he shouldn't have considered trying it, even for fun. Lumina then asked Lucille to fight the Valkyries. First he faced Ripnir. After casting a barrier on himself, he started blocking her attacks while waiting for an opening. However, when he thought he finally had a chance, he received a kick on the chin instead. And when he was facing Elizabeth, he thought he could use his advantage in size, but she easily dodged and tripped him. Lucille asked how Elizabeth had disappeared during their battle, so she proudly explained that due to her double affinity with fire and water, she could create an illusion, which she put in front of her while waiting for an opening. Lucille was amazed. He realized that every one of them was really experienced, and he thanked Elizabeth for her guidance. Lumina was happy to see his dedication to getting stronger. After several days of training with the Paladin regiment, Lucille decided to enter the 20th floor main chamber, and all the time he spent on his training was well worth it, as it helped him clear the boss room. The Pope thanked Lucille for his efforts. She explained that the items dropped by the White also belonged to a high priest who entered the labyrinth a decade ago with the White from the 10th floor. Lucille asked if the high priest turned into an undead inside the labyrinth and turned against the church. Katlia wasn't happy with his question, and she reminded him that there were things he shouldn't just say. However, the Pope responded, saying that it was not only against the church. The high priest had also turned on the Republic of Saint Shu rule, and even the Healers Guild. She explained that half a century ago, the labyrinth manifested, and many had attempted to seal it off. Thanks to that, monsters were stopped from spilling out until the present. Lucille was surprised that the Pope was alive half a century ago, and he found it hard to believe because her voice sounds so young. Afterwards, he asked if the monsters could be defeated. The Pope explained that it could be done by conquering the labyrinth and destroying the miasma-emitting core. However, no one had managed to accomplish this, as even an elite group of Templars and Paladins failed because of the labyrinth's miasma and foul odor. Lucille couldn't believe that they failed just because of the odor. The Pope continued her story. She told Lucille that even though many lives were sacrificed, they still failed to conquer the labyrinth, and they had to seal it instead to prevent the monsters from escaping. Lucille asked if it was the reason why healers are being used as exorcists now, so the Pope explained that since fewer people are being born with Templar and Paladin jobs, healers with purification spells are sent to the labyrinth to cull the undead as substitutes. Afterwards, she asked Lucille to continue exploring the labyrinth. Lucille agreed, so the Pope rewarded him and asked him anything that he required for his task. Lucille asked for anti-undead weapons and armor, saying that he needed those to protect his life. The Pope agreed and told him to select the items he needed, and she also told him that she would give him a promotion once he reached the healer rank of 7. Lucille was looking forward to the promotion and the reward, so he decided to give it all he'd got. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to drop a like if you enjoy this video, and please subscribe so you won't miss the next part. And just comment down any anime you want to see in this channel.